Alright, what is up, guys? So the time is 11:15. Just came back from the gym and I'm going to be answering some questions that I put on a Q&A post on my Instagram. So let's get straight into the questions. Alright, so the first question is tips to getting larger. So first off, right off the bat, essentially you need to be in a caloric surplus. You need to be eating more calories than you burn throughout the day. This differs for everyone depending on their weight, their height and their goals. But if you're looking to increase muscle mass and to increase weight, you just need to be in a caloric surplus. You can work this out on a simple caloric calculator online. I might be able to put one in the description, but if not, just search up on Google and it will be the first description. Click on that and put in your statistics and it will give you what you need to eat throughout the day. Alongside that, nutrition wise, you also need to be eating enough protein. That is the main one, so make sure you're eating enough protein depending on your statistics as well. For me personally, I try to get in around 4,000 to 5,000 calories, and alongside that I try to get 200 grams of protein or above, and that's what works for me in order to gain weight and to gain that muscle mass. And then the second one is to just be training hard and heavy. Just make sure you're sticking to a program, you're not being clueless when you're going into training. Make sure you have a program to stick to, so a nice systemic program, so that will allow you to fuck me, I thought I heard footsteps, right. But that will allow you to track your progress and to make sure you're achieving progressive overload. Even if you are doing bodybuilding, you still need to keep track of your strength, because that will indicate whether you'll gain that muscle mass alongside it as well. Especially as a newbie, you're going to be gaining strength as it is anyway, but it's really good to keep track of that. And then the third one is just get lots of sleep and drink lots of water and you'll grow. So stick to those fundamental basics and you'll get big. Alright, so what is your age, height and weight? So I'm 17 years old, I'm around 6 foot, and I currently weigh 87 kilograms, I believe, in the morning. So yeah, those are my stats. Alright, so someone asked, when do you train per week? So I train 6 days per week, legs push pull program. So I go in 6 days a week on Monday till Saturday, and then I have Sunday as my off day when I go to work alongside college throughout the week. And yeah, so with this program on at the moment, because I'm doing powerlifting, I essentially, for my legs, I'll do the squat as my main compound. For the push day, I'll do bench as my main compound, and for pull day, I'll do deadlift as my main compound. I'll do that twice a week on each compound movement, and that's the program I'm on at the moment. Alright, so someone asked, what's your routine for legs? So for legs, I don't actually do too much. I'm pretty lucky in the fact that I can do minimal amounts in order to let my legs grow. But for me, on the program I'm doing at the moment, so for example, I will go in, let's just say Monday for an example, on a leg day, and I've got the program will call for 4x10 on low bar squats, so I will do that. And then afterwards I will do a 3x20 on leg press, and after that I will do a 3x10 to 15 on quad extensions, and then maybe afterwards, depending if the pre-workout's still buzzing in my system, I will do some bodyweight lunges and just really get some blood flow into my quads, and that's all really I have to do in order to let my legs grow. But I do that twice a week, and that's what best works for me. For those who are struggling to build up their legs, might want to add extra volume in, so they might want to add some lunges in there, some hamstring curls. To be fair, I'm actually adding in some more hamstring curls because I've been neglecting my hamstrings recently, and it is starting to show a little bit, but yeah. So, are you bodybuilding or powerlifting? Right, well, people like to classify bodybuilding and powerlifting in their two separate categories, but power building, or what I'm doing, you probably would have heard about power building by now. For those watching, if you haven't, then essentially it's just putting powerlifting and bodybuilding together. So for me, I would have my powerlifting program on my phone, and let's say it's a push day, so I'll go in and do whatever the program tells me to do on my bench. So let's just say it's a 7x3 on flat bench, so I'll do that. And then after that, after I've done my compound movement, I'll pretend that I've just come into the gym and I haven't touched the heavy weight yet, that I'm just coming in fresh, and then I'll treat the workout like a bodybuilding workout. So I do lots of volume, all different kinds of exercises, flies, dips, tricep extensions, shoulder press, all these different exercises I will do afterwards. But people like to classify bodybuilding and powerlifting separately, but really they mesh together really well. But yeah, that's what my answer is to the question. Alright, so someone asked, what programs are you running, or are there any new ones that you're starting? Alright, so the program that I'm running at the moment is a simple legs push pull program, a 6-day split program. It's a 4-week cycle with a deload in between. So I'm actually in a deload at the moment, but I'll do a 4-week training block, I'll do a deload in between, and then I'll do a 4 weeks again, and that's just repeatable. But essentially, I'm just going to be running this until I hit a 200 kg squat and a 125 to 130 kg bench and a 230 to 240 deadlift, which I'll move on to my next program, which is a DUP program, which I believe it's 5 days a week. But this program I'm really looking forward to doing, because it's just every single workout is some means of a rep max. So it'd be a 5 rep max, a 3 rep max, or 1 rep max, for example. But I'm really looking forward to that. And next week I actually have my maxes. So this is my last session today before I do my PRs. So I'm really looking forward to next week. And I'll just have to see what I get. But thank you for the question. Oh, and I will be putting the programs in the description below if you guys did want to check those out. Alright, so someone asked, what's your opinion on Lex Little? All I've got to say is he's got some big ass quads. Someone asked, what do you do when you're cutting? So it's funny, I haven't actually ever gone on an intentional cut before. It's just sometimes when my eating can be inconsistent, I can maybe, I don't know, wake up flat in the morning after not eating for a certain period of time because I've overdosed some pre-workout and I feel fucking shit. I will take a picture in the morning and it will make me look relatively lean, but this is just a false deception. Normally, throughout the time that I'm lifting and I'm training, I do have a bit of fluff around the midsection, and especially around my face, if you guys can't tell already. But yeah, no, I'm not lean all year round because that would just be unrealistic. You have to put on some means of fat or some means of fluff in order to actually gain the muscle mass that you want, especially at my age. As you're a teen, you want to have a bit of fluff already, because it's just the most optimal way you're going to be gaining muscle mass. So yeah. So someone asked, are deloads necessary? So deloads aren't actually necessary, but for example, when you're powerlifting and you've been lifting heavy weight for a certain duration of time, very high intensity, your CNS will become very taxed, and you will notice this because it's incredible how much your mental focus can affect your physical performance. But for me, I'm actually deloading this week, and today was my last session of my deload before I go in next week to do my maxes. But you do need a deload if you're doing powerlifting. You will need a deload, and you'll find that out once you are lifting heavy for a certain duration of time. But for bodybuilders, you can have this train or die mentality, but essentially you will need to have a week or some amount of time where you train slightly lighter, because that's going to increase. It's just going to be more beneficial for your gains in the long term. So once you're rested and once you've recuperated, you can go back into high intensity workouts, which is going to overall just increase your muscle mass instead of having to lift a lighter load. So you can therefore you can achieve progressive overload, and you can increase in the volume, therefore it's going to be benefiting your gains. So yeah, that's what I think about deloads. So how long have you been training? So I've been training for 3 years now. But it's funny, for the first 2 years I just didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just didn't. I would go into the gym and I'd do like four to five sets on each exercise, like any machine that I could find in the gym. I'll do 4 to 5 sets of like 10 to 20 on each one of them, and I was burning myself out so much. But it would have been alright, but the thing is, I just wasn't eating an optimal amount of food, so I just wasn't gaining as much muscle mass as I can. I was about to say that I wasn't gaining any muscle mass, but realistically, when you're a newbie, like, you can literally just walk past the gym and you'll gain muscle mass. But yeah, that's basically how long I've been training for. But this last year, I've been actually getting into powerlifting, and I've really been trying to expand my knowledge upon all the different lifting methods, different types of training, the form cues on all the compound movements, and I've really trying to just expand my intellect upon lifting, and it's just really interested me the past year, and I've made a ton of gains once I've known what I'm actually been doing. So someone asked, do you have a dream for life? So I don't really know how to answer this properly, but I suppose just to have a good time, to increase my knowledge, gain experiences, to die with a 1,000 kg deadlift. Alright, so what is the best pre-workout? Right, so from my experiences, the best pre-workouts for consistent energy rush, ESP hands down, taste as well, like the taste is just phenomenal, and if you just are wanting a nice rush of energy but you don't want to feel in a horrendous crash, ESP is the way to go. But my best pre-workout I've ever taken, performance wise, has got to be Dust X. Like, that shit was insane. Like, when I took that, it was just ridiculous. So basically, the story of Dust X for me is I was sat at home and I basically got a call from my mate, and he wanted to train some shoulders that day, and I was just eating currently, but he was training literally like right now as I was eating. So but he said he wanted me to take some Dust X, and back then I didn't realise how much food can affect the absorption of your pre-workout. But I basically cycled to the gym as soon as I finished that meal, and I had a shit ton of food, and took Dust X, and basically throughout the workout I was thinking, I don't know, maybe it's just all hype. I didn't think that it was the best pre-workout ever like everyone's described it. But then I finished the workout, and basically 2 to 3 minutes heading back home, I got this rush of energy, and it was ridiculous, like this surge of energy. It felt like someone had literally got a hammer, smacked me around the face. It was like insane, and I literally cycled back. Normally it would take me, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes to cycle back. It literally took me about, I don't know, 4 to 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. I was just full of energy. And the thing is, I didn't even get a bad crash from it per se. Like, most of these, like, pre-workouts that you have, like, the more chemicals in it, like the alpha nootropics, like the 1,3, like the DMHA and stuff, like, it really affects you and gives you a bad crash. But for this, it gave me a sort of good crash in a way. Like, I was sat in my bed, well, first I got in the shower, and I was just in the shower, and I felt, like, really concentrated, which sounds weird, but I just felt, like, really good. I felt really euphoric. I got into my bed, and I basically, I mean, my heart was palpitating a little bit, but fell asleep straight away. And yeah, that's the story of Dust X. But that's what my opinions on pre-workouts have. I can't say I've had a large range of pre-workouts, but that's what I think about Dust X and ESP. Alright, so someone asked, what are your opinions, and have you ever tried Noopet? So I have tried Noopet, and I believe that was in Dust X. So Noopet is a alpha nootropic, and it's basically what it's known as an phenylacetyl L-polyglycine ethyl ester, and it's basically essentially is meant to increase your dopamine levels, and is meant to give you an extremely good focus throughout your workout. And for me, I mean, it kind of affected the fact that I had some food beforehand, but to be fair, throughout the workout I was feeling that concentration, and like I said, when I got home I felt really concentrated, even though I was just showering. But yeah, like, that's my experience of that. I can't say it was amazing, but then again, I only took it and I was on a full belly, so it might be really good. But if you have ever tried new peps, put your experiences down below. Let me know and see if I should try it again. What was your opinion on Avengers Endgame? Rate it out of 10. Right. Well, my opinion on Avengers Endgame is that it was a good film. It was a really good way to go out. I mean, obviously it's not finished yet, but it was I tried not to say too much without spoiling it. Out of 10, I would rate it an 8 to an 8.5, I think. It was really good, but I don't think it was as good as Infinity War. I won't get too into it, but yeah, thank you for the question. So, what are your goals for this next year, lifting wise? So for me, my goals for my lifting wise, so my squat, my bench, and my deadlift, I expect that's what the person who asked that meant. So for my squat, before I turn 18 anyway, so I'm currently 17, so before I turn 18, I would like a 220 kg squat, so that's 5 plates. For my bench, I would like a 140 kg bench before I turn 18, and for my deadlift, I would like a 260 kg deadlift. So those are the goals that I want, and those are the goals that I'm going to get, so you're going to have to hold me against them, because I'm going to get those numbers no matter what. Hashtag 5%, hashtag whatever it takes. So, who were the first fitness influencers of people that you saw on YouTube to inspire you? So when I was first starting out lifting in my garage, back at my old house, I would search up all these videos on how to get bigger arms, for example, how to get abs and stuff, and what would normally come up, as if you've been lifting for a year, you will know the saint known as Jeff Cavalier, athlenex.com. Yeah, he's the one that I basically got all my information of for my starting working out years. That's for like my knowledge wise, but for motivation wise, it would have to be CT Fletcher and like Cali Muscle. I'd always watch them, and then the next person was David Lade, that I came across when I was about 14, and yeah, he's the one that basically I saw him, and he's the one that got me into this powerlifting aesthetics, this strength and aesthetic side. But yeah, so are you arm wrestling, or have you ever arm wrestled? So it's funny, the last time I remember arm wrestling was probably about a year ago. I literally haven't arm wrestled in that long, but I kind of do want to get into some friendly, competitive arm wrestling again with the boys. So if you guys did want to see some of that, and if you did want to see some aggressive, brutish arm wrestling, just comment down below and let me know. So how can I add 20 kg of lean muscle mass in a month? I mean, the answer to that question is trenbolone acetate. I was joking, guys. Don't take that seriously. But I mean, 20 kilograms in a month. That's insane. Even as a newbie, that's like ridiculous. I mean, to gain the most optimal muscle mass as possible that you can gain yourself, at lean muscle mass as well, just eat as much protein as possible, clean protein, so make sure you eat chicken, mincemeat, steaks, all of that good stuff, chicken, pasta, bagels you can eat as well, peanut butter, all this stuff and above. Just eat that if you want to gain some lean muscle mass, and just train, like I said, to be getting bigger. Just be training hard and heavy, make sure you're tracking your strength, drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, and then that's the way to get most optimal muscle mass. Alright, so someone asks, what are your maxes for your squat, bench and deadlift? So, I mean, I haven't actually gone for maxes in probably, I don't know, 2 or 3. I mean, max is on all my lists. Let's say I haven't gone for maxes on all my lists in like 2 to 3 months, but next week I'm actually going to be going for my maxes. But my maxes currently are a 185 kg squat, a 220 kg deadlift, and a 115 kg bench. But it's actually funny. The last week I basically went for a bench max, and I was literally this close to getting 120, and the guy that I was spotting, that guy that was spotting me, sorry, basically just as I was about to lock out, literally like an inch away from knockout. I don't know if he thought that I'd finished the rep, but he basically pulled it back, and I mean, I couldn't really count that. I'm an honest man, so I couldn't really count it. But next week I'm gonna fucking have that 120, so you hold me against that. But those are my lifts, so yeah. Alright, so someone asked, any good books for fitness junkies, and do you read? Right, so I've only started reading or trying to read recently, and to be fair, even recently I haven't been too consistent with reading. But the books that I've read recently have been extremely interesting to me and what I've been reading. So my first book that I read was the Arnold Total Recall book, and this is just a book about his life story, him as a child, and it's just really interesting and funny, just to where he got to now and what his childhood was like, just all types of shenanigans that he was getting up to. But that's like really like a really interesting book, especially because I mean I expect everyone will be looking up to Arnold Schwarzenegger like he's just the idol. And another one is actually Sapiens, which I'm trying to read at the moment, and that's really interesting. It's more for me doing powerlifting and stuff. It just gives me, I mean, it doesn't go too much into the biological side, but it's quite interesting to see how we evolved and certain human traits were developed over thousands of years in us, and like that can correspond to the squat, bench, deadlift. Like for example, I'll just say, like, I won't go too nerdy into it, but for the bench, like it's just not a natural movement. We weren't used to pressing like a rock or anything, but thousands of years ago we've been built into lifting stuff up, and perhaps maybe squatting stuff, and it's just a more natural movement. But yeah, that's just what I think about the books. I haven't actually read anything else, but my next book that I'm going to be getting onto is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's really a fitness junkie book, but I'm going to be reading Stephen Hawking's Black Hole Theory, I believe. I think that's what the book's called. But yeah, thank you for the question. Bro, what's your natty cycle? Wink, wink. Right, so my natty cycle is creatine monohydrate. That shit gets you real big, and impact whey protein. That's basically what gets you fucking massive, so have that. This is going to actually be the last question, guys, but it is, how do you go about taking creatine monohydrate? Should I load? Right, so first off, what you want to get yourself a good creatine monohydrate. I mean, to be honest, most of them do exactly the same thing, but I would recommend Optimum Nutrition or My Protein. They're good brands to go with. But for creatine monohydrate, you don't have to load, but how I went about it is my first week of taking creatine monohydrate, I would be taking 3 scoops, and this is called the loading phase. So I'll be taking 3 5-gram scoops, so that or 2 to 3 5-gram scoops, so that equates to 10 to 15 grams of creatine monohydrate. And basically this would load up my muscles and be able to saturate my creatine monohydrate levels. And this would mean that I wouldn't have to go through, 2 to 3 weeks where it gradually builds up on the creatine monohydrate and then it starts working. So I went through the loading phase, so you can do this as well. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's just nice to get out of the way. And the thing is, once you start taking creatine monohydrate, you're not going to really want to come off of it. I mean, some people cycle off of it, but you do just kind of want to stay taking it consistently, because you'll find if you go off of creatine monohydrate after a certain period of time, you'll feel really flat. You might not be able to get as many reps as in the gym, and you feel like shit. Basically, you feel like you're losing all your gains. You're not, but yeah, you just got to stick with it. But you do whatever you feel that's more ideal to you. For me, I just did a loading phase, and now I just take 5 grams consistently each day. So I do it normally in the morning, or sometimes at night if I forget to do it in the morning. I just take a scoop, wash it down with some water. It's all done with. And yeah, that's it. But thank you for the question. So this is actually going to be the end of the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed, and I really hope this helped you out. The time is currently 20 to 12. I'm going to go to bed now, and I've got work in the morning. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. Comment any more video suggestions you might have. Follow my social media links in the description, and I also have the workout programs if you want to follow them. And yeah, thank you for watching.